Fertilizer restrictions, walking weekend, and Sandy Neck's Marsh Trail on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, September 12th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. The Hyannis Water Board is hoping the town will change the zoning pertaining to groundwater protection overlay districts to ban the storage of commercial fertilizers in certain instances. Hyannis Water Board Chair Deb Crow spoke before the Planning Board earlier this week.
And this proposal to change our zoning is coming forward as a water quality issue. The current zoning that we have is not totally in sync with the DEP regulations under 310 CMR 22.21. And this is the one piece that we would need to put into our zoning to bring it in line with DEP. Being in concert with DEP is extremely important if you want to do new wells or other activities that require DEP approval. They often look at your zoning and make sure it's in sync with theirs. It's also extremely important to Hyannis. We're a water department that the city grew around, and we're in many of the areas near our wells are challenged because of the large amount of commercial businesses around it and some of the types of businesses that are on that zoning. And so to the extent when we have the opportunity to protect the water quality, we would again ask that you would amend our zoning in order to do that.
The board voted to recommend the zoning change to the town council as written, but requested the public hearing remain open to allow for time for those in the business of storing fertilizers to speak before the board. Cape Cod Pathways is planning its annual Cape Cod Walking Weekend this fall. The walk this year will take place from October 5th through the 8th. At this week's Land Acquisition and Preservation Committee meeting, Farley Lewis from Cape Cod Pathways talked about a section of the walk that heads through Barnstable Village.
Please. I submitted a hike for the Cape Cod Walking Weekend, which is sponsored by the Cape Cod Pathways group, which is part of the Cape Cod Commission. It will be taking place on October 5th through the 8th. At any rate, as far as I know, I think it is going to be accepted as a walk that will occur on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock of that weekend. And so I think everything is, the trail is, there are a couple of questions I have about overgrowth on the trail, which I probably should address to Tom. So I'll try to email him at some point about it. But otherwise, I think everything's going smoothly.
And it starts where?
It will start at Old Jail Lane, at the conservation parking lot there, and it'll end there as well. It should take about 2+ hours, perhaps.
So we don't have to manipulate a car shuttle.
There's no shuttle.
That's
yeah,
good.
Right,
So it's a
right. So yeah, it should be
loop.
fairly low-key,
Very nice.
relaxed.
Right around the marsh.
Yep. Yep. Then Commerce.
A little more of an urban look to it than our last walk, but
yes, that's
that's
right.
fine.
Yeah, so it's incorporating. I mean, if you look at the Cape Cod Pathways trail system online, the way that Tom has set it up, I mean, it does include that loop that goes around Commerce. So, at any rate, it will be some road walking, which, you know, not everybody likes that, but it's easy. So, at any rate.
Well, thank you for designing that walk and for leading it, and if there's any way we can support it, for one, I'll follow up on and make sure that the path is clear in advance of that date.
Okay, well, I just...
and we are looking for volunteers who might be willing to snip
I
the
say
growth.
the poison ivy level in there is like level red at this point. So
Wear long
it's
pants.
definitely a long pants socks event in there.
You know,
So, okay.
And that helps with the ticks too. Yeah.
Okay.
The email from Heather McElroy that Farley was referencing emerged, or out of that discussion, email discussion, emerged a new link on the Cape Cod Commission's website, and that is www.capecodcommission.org, and it says Quick Links and Walking Weekend. And there, it was made clear to me that this is information that is subject to change, but there's links to a Google map that provides the text information of the walks listed so far. And from what Heather McElroy said is, just happens that, she says at the present time, there are walks that are offered, but not all. And then she writes, almost all are in Barnstable, curiously enough. So town of Barnstable residents are blessed with the opportunity to have walks in our town. And I forwarded this to you.
It's a nice group of walks, so.
Yeah. So if my figuring is correct, I don't think we're meeting again until after the walk.
Okay. That's probably.
That's why I wanted to make sure that we had as much advance information at this meeting as possible.
Okay, sure.
Any questions for Farley?
Yes.
The walk is going to end where it begins, at the parking lot at the Old Jail Lane
Right.
Conservation Area. So it is a loop walk.
Thank you.
Yes. Councilor Daly.
Walking Weekend encourages residents to get out and enjoy nature paths across the Cape. Speaking of nature paths, Marsh Trail repair will soon begin at Sandy Neck. Sandy Neck Beach Park Manager Nina Coleman updated the Sandy Neck Board at this week's meeting.
For Marsh Trail repair, I'm proposing that this winter we go back to our fallback position, which is raising the grade, continuing to work from 4 to 5. Starting around the halfway house, which is where we left off.
Right.
Getting that grade up in that location. There's only so much they can do every year, particularly as we get farther out on the beach. Each round trip takes longer. So we're just picking our way. But I have to say that I get a lot of really good feedback about the Trail 5 repair. So I think overall we made a really big improvement in 2012, and so now we need to get back into the old regime of continuing to work.
There's a couple of spots that, from the original stone repairs on leading up to the halfway house, where the stones have washed, well, I won't say washed, but then pushed to the side. So that might be an area also that we start to bring some of that stone that's gone off to the side, bring it back into the center. Or give another little layer of stone to some of those areas that it's been problematic. Out by Gilchrist and the Baxter camp, in that particular area.
Yeah.
And then just from the Hallett to what we call a Winder's Cottage, and that Blues Point area there, just leading up to Baxter, that's kind of taken a beating again. So.
That's just sinking, in my opinion. It's sinking and it's spreading.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty tidally influenced.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is. There's no question. It's tidal influence. All right.
Do you need to do any repairs to what the project was in the spring?
I went and walked it last week, and I think it could use more stone, but I think that's a big and expensive project. That stone is quite pricey, so I think that we're better off putting our resources into some of those other lower areas, and then throw that on the maintenance back burner.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it right now. I mean, it still looks good.
Yeah.
It really does. It's holding up.
That work is expected to be done this winter. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.